Star Wars Visions is what I considered a failed science experiment by Disney to milk money from the Japanese audience as well as every Star Wars fan that likes anime. Star Wars Visions is an underwhelming mess. I have no idea who came up with Visions, because whoever did needs to be fired right now and blacklisted, and then the only job they can apply for is working at a McDonald's drive-thru under a manager with a low-ass pay. So why don't I like Visions? Well, there's a lot of reasons. Anime is not really something I'm a fan of, but despite that, this show just has glaring problems that need to be discussed. Just like The Mandalorian and The Bad Batch, the shills are sucking the show off for reasons I don't even think is well known. So let's get into it. Star Wars Visions is an anthology series, and well, that's the problem. The episodes are trying to tell a story, but they obviously needed a lot more of time with a lot of them. Seriously, the structure of these episodes is seriously bad. Plus, they're not really interesting stories anyways, in concept or execution. I binge-watched the whole thing beginning to end, and I was seriously fed up with it after episode 3 or 4. That's not a good sign. These episodes have no connection to each other, or even the Star Wars universe, because Disney declared this show non-canon upon announcement. So what exactly is the point of this show?
Absolutely nothing!
I guess Disney, as mentioned before, wanted to milk Japan as well as the West. Mission accomplished, I guess. But I don't see the point of an anthology because these episodes share a lot of the same structure. It's just insignificant Jedi versus Sith shit. Stuff we've already seen before, but told in a strange way. Like, there's something about Japan and how they tell stories that I'm not used to. I guess it's just a pet peeve though. Point is, we've already seen the conflict between the Jedi and the Sith, and there's no spin to the whole thing. Disappointing given how this show presented itself as how Japan interprets Star Wars. I was expecting at least a little bit more. The episodes vary in quality, but I'd say that all the episodes are the worst in the show. The first episode is undersaturated, and the whole time it looks like a washed out mess. Black and white can work. Where's the colour? Not that episode 1 has an interesting story or even idea. It's literally bad guys invade village, and this guy with a red lightsaber saves the town. Nothing about this episode looks like Star Wars, and it felt extremely on the nose having the hilt be that of a samurai or ninja. Very jarring, there's absolutely zero cool ideas here. It feels like a trippy art film than something that belongs in Star Wars. Does it get any better from here? Yes, but not really given how the very next episode has one of the most useless ideas ever. A music band after the Clone Wars. I don't know who came up with this. It's called Star Wars, for God's sake. It's not even like a battle of the bands. The episode is basically this guy in a band and the hut in the band, who I didn't even realize was a hut until directly told so by the episode itself. So he failed to make something clear, gets taken away by Boba Fett. So what happens? Do they plot a daring rescue mission? Nope. Instead they decide to sign their death warrants and perform in front of Jabba, which somehow convinces him to spare the band, which, knowing Jabba, sounds really contrived. Also, the scale of the characters is also an issue. Why are they all so stubby and short? It's nice having Tam back for Boba Fett, but it doesn't make up for a lack of substance in this episode. Plus, the song at the end sounded nothing like Star Wars. They really should have listened to the Mongolian band from Fallen Order. Now that sounds like Star Wars. Episode 3 really broke me. It has this stupid idea of a brother and a sister created on Exegol. So Disney hasn't learnt their lesson that it's actually Korriban. Anyways, the brother decides to turn good or something, and he and his sister have a big duel. What someone on Discord pointed out is that the story breaks basic Star Wars physics and logic, like a droid with a helmet on. What the hell? This episode must have been really rushed in order for this to make it through the storyboard. So with that being said, I hate that the conflict is poorly set up, and I didn't feel anything but boredom. I was like, is this it? And to think that the studio, or whoever was responsible, thought the sequel trilogy references were worth it? Yeah, I don't like it. Episode 4 has the same damn structure as Episode 1. At least the art style's a lot better than the first one, but my god, what a drag. The first part of the episode is just hiking. Gee, I'm so damned bored right now. It's absolutely dull. Then we've got bandits raiding a village and it's just the same damn thing. The only difference between this and the first episode is that the art styles are different. That's it. Moving on to episode 5, which I don't see the point in, you see it's called The Ninth Jedi and it consists of, I don't fucking know. These plots are so hard to follow and I couldn't be bothered to pay attention to. I guess there's a lot of what over why. And the whys we do get aren't very in depth. It sucks. Episode 6 makes absolutely no sense. It's about a droid who uses to learn the Force and become a Jedi. It was here which I wondered if these Japanese studios actually saw Star Wars. There's so many inaccuracies and other shit that would have never made it past George Lucas. This episode is so goddamn bland and it barely has a story. There's literally only 3 characters in this episode, and one of them doesn't even speak. There's only 2 voice actors. How disappointing. Episode 7 is probably the least bad of the episodes. The dynamic between Dan and Tajin was akin to that of Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon. And that's pretty much the only thing I liked. The art style is perfectly fine too, but that's about it. Literally all that happens in this episode is Master and Apprentice stop by a planet to come across an old Sith guy, and the Sith guy dies. To quote Confused Matthew, this is basically like walking from one side of the street to another side of the street. What can you really say about it? Episode 8 is a sin because it introduces a character that'll be another rabbit fetish female character. Believe me. So we're already off to a bad start. This episode is basically this bunny being adopted into a family and then 7 years later, her sister joins the Empire while her father joins the rebellion. The way the conflict is executed is so weak. Still, what over why? It's literally just sister joins Empire, Dad gives Bunny the family lightsaber, and it just ends on a cliffhanger. Like, god damn it, I am not going to watch a second season. I hope any thought of a second season gets canned quickly. So they really should have focused on finishing the story before sequel baiting. Then there's episode 9, that I was so done at this show at this point that I hardly paid attention. So it's a common problem amongst all the episodes that they are not fleshed out at all. They suffer from a severe lack of story. They don't feel like Star Wars, and they also have weird designs. Was the fact that Japanese anime studios would be helming the series supposed to impress me? Because this might be a bold claim, but I feel like they got some nameless bums off the street to make these episodes. I wouldn't be surprised if Ruin Johnson was behind all this, given how there's plenty of symbolism and references to The Last Jedi. Everything Disney says, no matter how they say it, is always going to be underwhelming because Disney's standards are so low. I continue to be unimpressed with the shit Disney puts out. I don't know who to blame, Disney or the Japanese studio, but I'm going to blame Disney for the same reason as every other failed product by them. Corporate interference. Despite this not being canon, they probably screwed the studios over and thus why the whole show is a mess. I really would have preferred an actual show because Visions is nothing special. It's just an underwhelming shit stain. I stand by what I said firmly when I said the sequels ruined Star Wars. Disney really have no idea what they're doing. Like if George did something like Visions, it would have been great because he knew what the fuck he was doing and would have given the Japanese studios guidance instead of whatever Disney did. I've made it clear that if it was just the sequels on their own that sucked, I wouldn't be so angry. Because I think a lot of sequel fans don't understand that I hate everything Disney puts out because they nowhere near match the quality of the Lucas era. I don't know what will build back up my trust, but I feel pleasing me is something Disney will never do because they are so lax given how they have a monopoly on the film industry. Unless they have competition, we will get no quality. I'm honestly tired of shitting all over Disney Star Wars, but what they do isn't good enough. Do better. I'm gonna continue to criticize what I don't like until my last dying breath. Visions to me is like a 3 or 4 out of 10 show. Undercooked is the best description I can give in one word. So that's my take on Star Wars Visions. I know I didn't have a lot to say, but can you blame me? I'm JJ Plagiarisms. And until next time, What are stories but mystery boxes?
We found you hiding, we found you lying, choking on the dirt and sand. Your former glories and all your stories, dragged and washed with